Hello and welcome to episode number 95 of The Pitcher or the Hitter, the podcast by the M-SABR Dynasty League for the M-SABR Dynasty League. I am Cam.
I'm Sahil.
And oh boy, what a semis week. That sure did live up to expectations. All four teams held the lead at some point on Sunday. Two first-time teams in the finals. Great rematches and upsets and rivalries and all the storylines. But there's one question on everyone's mind, and that is, of course, are you, sir, the victim of a semis curse?
Yeah, your semis curse is broken. Hey, I've lost in the semis 2 years in a row. You said that wasn't a curse, so I'm not a victim of a semis curse. If I lose next year, we'll talk then. But I've talked to talk with you in the semis curse, so I can't back away from the talk. Having lost twice in the semis now, but that was a bummer of a loss. I was there was a point yesterday where I had a 9-2-1 lead and I ended up losing 4-7-1. That's just a bummer. An Aaron bummer, if you will.
An Aaron bummer. Yeah, I mean, like I said, all four teams held the lead on semis Sunday. I led at the end of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I led until about 8 p.m. Saturday. Erik took the lead and held that until about 4 or 5 on Sunday, something like that. It all things kind of whirlwind together, right? When Judge hit his second homer and Soto homered. And God, I need Soto to keep doing that this week. But it all kind of swirled together and into a whirlwind for me. And I wasn't paying as much attention to Jake versus you. I know Jordan hit a big bases clearing double that kind of swung things his way as well. But these big moments from the big stars, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, some huge moments in each of the matchups, but it's just that's what it does sometimes. It's the little moments, and it's funny too because it's just the little moments, not even in the semis matchup, but like throughout this season that gets us to these points, and it's just like how little things just have such a big effect on the league, and when it comes down to it, on the Sunday in the semis, you look at some of these players and just some of the clutch hits they get, some of the situations they happen to find themselves in, and it really makes a big difference. So definitely a fun one, even if I didn't get the result I wanted. Let's dive into each matchup though.
Before we do that,
Yeah.
Charlie Blackmon has been placed on the trading block by Ruthick. Any thoughts?
Yes, many thoughts on this one. Charlie Blackmon should probably be on the waiver wire. I don't. Maybe he had a better year this year than I'm thinking of, but let's pull this up. This is honestly
I
the
think I
Charlie
don't know.
Blackmon of
I never know how he does. He's always simultaneously. It's like Schrodinger's Blackman. If in my mind I think, hey, I think he's having a bad year, then I look and it's like, oh, he's actually having a better year than I thought. And if I'm in my mind, I'm like, oh, he's actually having an all right year. I take a look and it's like, no, he's actually not. Charlie Blackman is whatever the opposite of my expectation is.
Okay,
In my
so
mind, I'm thinking that he might have had a better season than I thought. So I guess my guess is he's been bad.
it you're correct. So his one calling card the past few years is he's been a pretty solid OBP guy, like 350 or above. It dropped to 310 this year, 16 home runs, 4 steals, like mediocre runs and ribbies numbers. He's 35 now. I mean, I'm not surprised that this is the end result for him, but I think he's done.
Yeah, it's been a rough go of it. I will say on August 1st, his WRC plus was 105. He's really struggled down the stretch. I mean, all of September, but even the last couple of weeks of August. Um, yeah, I don't know.
He he,
Uh,
he had like a
he was the
3 year
big.
peak there, like, and then he just kind of fell off, or 4 year
I
peak.
mean, he was the main return for Shohei Ohtani. Him and Steven Strasburg in our league. Uh, and remember when the first month or so of 2020, it looked like the team trading away Otani was the winner.
It's hard to believe how that trade worked out. Sometimes that just, oh boy.
I truly cannot believe there was a month or two where we thought that EBO won that trade.
Yeah, I mean, arguably more than a month or two. Like, I don't know if Strasburg pitched in 20, but like,
And even at the time, it was like we kind of thought it was a bit of an overpay by Erik, but we should have. I mean, Blackmon was 32, and Strasburg was just coming off of those heroics, but
right. Well, yeah, he's coming off a 209 inning season with a 3.32 ERA at the age of 30. Like, yes, I get that he has the injury history and everything, right? But like, I don't think we're expecting that he was only going to pitch. Let's see if I
he's
could
pitched 30 innings since.
31 and a third innings over the next 3 seasons. I mean, nobody could have predicted that, right? And regardless, I mean, Strasburg would have had to have done his best, like Pedro Martinez combined with Nolan Ryan and Randy Johnson impression for this trade to even look like remotely like all right for EBO the way that Otani has played, but like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we're forgetting Otani was bad in 2020, and he was good, but he was fine in 2019, but he wasn't spectacular in 2019
Well,
either.
he had trouble staying healthy too. That was a big thing, especially pitching. He had a 80 WRC plus in 2020. Can you believe that now? And
Yeah.
that's I mean, like, and then he just couldn't stay healthy on the mound. I mean, the flip side with Otani is Otani could have torn his UCL, right? He could have been, out for 2 seasons, and like maybe they let him DH like every day, like Bryce Harper does, or maybe they're just like, you know what, we're not going to take that risk. And honestly, if somebody after the first 3 seasons of Otani's career had concluded that that was what was going to happen, like I don't blame him because like I probably would have put my money on that more than what he did in 2021. So I
Yeah. And to
that's
be fair, EBO also got Grayson Rodriguez in that deal.
right. I mean that's the beauty of making some of these trades though, right? Is that like sometimes you can have the right kind of logic for making a trade, but the trade just doesn't work out because the player gets hurt or some player just randomly pops off or just stuff like that. I'm not saying that's what happens in this case. In this case, but like sometimes trading's just a crapshoot, man. It's it sucks. I mean, when you make as many trades as like me or EBO makes, like you're bound to make some duds every so often. But it's if your goal is to make perfect trades every time, you're not going to make trades, and you're not going to have the upside of making your team significantly better quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. In some trades, and I think this one's pretty well won by Erik. But there are some trades you never know. And there's some trades you don't know until 3 or 4 years after the fact who's going to win it.
Yeah, remember when Alex got slammed for the Jose Ramirez for Julio Rodriguez deal? That was the first deal that we covered on the podcast. And everyone was like, well, what's Alex doing? Alex didn't get a lot. Julio Rodriguez, it's kind of a gamble. Now, Julio Rodriguez, you can make the argument it's the number one player in Dynasty.
You absolutely could. He also, let's be fair, he also gave up Yuki's 2021 first, which turned into Nick Gonzalez. Not as surefire of a pick either. I guess yeah, Yuki was a playoff team the prior year.
Yeah.
But yeah, uh, Julio Rodriguez, JD Davis as well in that deal. Someone who I think is underrated.
Yeah. Oh, same.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Jose Ramirez, I think, yeah, yeah, turned out to be a win-win for both teams.
Exactly. So you just don't know. On the flip side, sometimes the prospect is really good and it looks really good, and he just busts. I mean, look at Kelenic. I thought Kelenic was as sure of a thing as could be, and then he's come up and just shot the bed. You don't know. It's crazy how things work in this league. But anyways, we've talked a lot about Charlie Blackmon. We have a couple matchups to talk about. You want to start with mine? We'll save the best for last.
Yeah, let's start out with yours. You were defeated by Jake in that semis matchup. The final score was what, 7-3-2? No, seven
No,
four
seven
one.
seven four one. I flipped steals late.
7-4-1. Yeah, again, this is your matchup. I'll let you talk about it, but I'll give the basic overview. Both teams pitched very well. You had more quantity than Jake, which is kind of unlike him, but he definitely got those rate stats nailed down. But he outslugged you, but not by much. He had one more run, one more double, one more RBI, and two more homers. It was incredibly tight. As tight, I know he said in the chat, this is just as tight as we've ever seen it in the hitting categories. And stolen bases went your way, but just unlucky on your end that all four of those other ones went his way. And it was a great final day from him that kind of flipped the script.
Yeah, I kind of like I mean, Jake was behind big in the offensive categories. I mean, I chatted you on Friday or Saturday being like, have like what's the lowest OBP in a playoff matchup, because I think Jake's gonna hit it. And he still only finished with a 287 OBP. But he got the counting stats yesterday offensively, and I was up, I think, 8 or 9 RBIs going into yesterday, and I was like, okay, like I feel pretty comfortable about this category. And sure enough, his offense came through after being quiet all week. I mean, and also, like, you talk about the hitting being close, the pitching too, like 6 quality starts to 5 quality starts. He had 4 saves, I had 3. We both had 3 holds. Whip, I had a 108, he had a 107. A 3.16 ERA and a 2.78 ERA are a little far apart, but not really. Like every single category other than like OBP and strikeouts was insanely close. And it's just, this is the second time in 4 weeks I've played Jake where I would have beaten everyone in the league but him. I feel a little less bad than I did when I played Connor last year in the semis and lost, because at least my team put a good effort this week. It's just that, the other team across from me was just an absolute behemoth. There was nothing more I could have done. So certainly frustrating, but I'm proud of the way my team has played. Uh, you know, um, but before I talk about more about my team, I mean, Jake just had an incredible week. Like he has been. You and I were talking about this off air. He matches up really well with the other kind of top playoff teams here, and it's funny because I think you look at his roster and compared maybe to you, me, and Erik, I think he is the least talented of the 4 rosters. Which is not to say it is not a talented roster, but he's starting like Nick Gordon at second base, right? Jesse Winker's been getting significant time for him. Tommy Pham, MJ Melendez hasn't been that great this year. But he's been able to just consistently piece it together and pick up the wins where he needs to be. His team's been incredibly close, and I think he's going to be an incredibly tough out for you in the finals. But going to my team for a second, I mean, part of what makes this a little frustrating for me as well is like, unlike last year where I started off really hot and just like started tanking towards the end of the year, my team started off the season really badly and just like took off after that. I mean, from like mid-June to the end of the season, I lost only 3 games, and all 3 of them were to Jake. And in all 3 weeks, my team played very well. And in 2 of those, I would have won if I would have played anybody else. I tied Ruthvik because of because Max Fried got rained out after 5 perfect innings a couple weeks ago, right? I'd be in the finals right now if that rain didn't happen, because I would have won that game. I would have been to 2 seed. You would have been to 3 seed. I would have beat you this week. It's just, shit happens. Just wasn't meant to be. Playing down a player with Tatis was not great. But, I'm still here looking at at a lot of the positives, right? I'm gonna have Tatis for most of the season next year, barring him doing a 3rd straight dumb thing, which I guess I can't say he's not going to do, but I like to think Tatis is going to play more than 0 games next year. I'm going to get a
I
full.
would imagine.
I would imagine, right? I'm going to get a full season of Mookie Betts and Trey Turner and Cedric Mullins. I traded for all three of those guys in the middle of the season, and all three of those
That's
guys are
absurd.
currently top 25 into player rater, with Betts and Turner top 5 into player rater, right? So I think that there's still a lot to like for this team. I still think I'm going to be very good moving forward. I was top of the roto, right? Certainly not the way I wanted things to end. A couple things here and there could have changed things, but that's just what happens in the semis, where you got four really good teams. It's frustrating, but it just that's how it goes sometimes. I said this on the air last week to end the episode. I don't know if you cut it out or not, but I was just like, you know what? It's going to be a tough semifinals matchup. I was like, these are four very competitive teams, and I wasn't really sure what was going to happen, but I emphasize as like just getting to the semifinals is an accomplishment. It is a lot of work, and we put a lot of work into this league, especially you and I. Like, we have three different spreadsheets
And
now.
Erik.
Yeah, well, and Erik too. I'm talking to you directly because I'm staring at a Fangraphs page right now, and your face never shows when we record. I just stare at the word cam. Um, but ironically, your cam is off as I'm staring at the word cam. But we all work our asses off in this league, right? So it's when you lose like this, it's incredibly frustrating and demoralizing. But you know I know the effort that like you and Jake put into this league and all the hard work you've done. So as frustrating as it is to not be participating in the finals again, I will gladly take three semis appearances, a finals appearance, and a championship in 5 years, and get the opportunity to see two other people's hard work pay off in the finals. So uh, frustrating way to end the season. But I'll be back with a vengeance next year. I feel very good about the team I have right now, and I can't wait to make more improvements in the offseason. You know me, I love trade time. So as much as I love the playoffs, I love the ability to make some trades. So
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk. Well, let's first say absolutely, Jake is in the finals now. He's been an incredible addition to the league. This is his third season as a member, I believe. I'm pretty sure he joined for the 2020 draft. That was the first time I remember him being a part of the league. And since then, he's taken that team from not very good to the finals. He's done a great job. He's incredibly knowledgeable. I think the big thing about Jake, and I was telling you this off air, is that he's really good at standing his ground on trade offers. You just can't slip anything by him. He will not let a bad trade happen. He's not
yes.
going to give an inch. He knows what he wants, and he's very willing to walk away if that's not something that's going to help him out.
Right.
And I think, and I'm the same way a little bit, not as strongly, but I'm the same way as he is, which is why we don't make a lot of deals together. But yeah, no, Jake has been a great owner. I'm very honored to be facing off with him in the finals. I will say this: both semis matchups went kind of the same way. The underdog, and yes, I am saying even though Jake was the 2 seed, he was the underdog in your matchup. Both underdogs took an early lead, not a big lead, but a comfortable lead that kind of got narrower and narrower throughout the week, and then it flipped on Saturday for both teams. And then both underdogs were able to battle it back with great hitting days on Sunday. It was really, really the same story for both teams. And you had your Dodgers put up a fight on Sunday night.
They came close. I was surprised because there was an opportunity. I mean, like when Muncy came up to bat in I want to say the 10th inning, like he was a double or a home run away from just handing me like the most epic win ever, but it wasn't enough. kudos to those Dodgers. I mean, I think it's one of the reasons I'm most excited about next year is I mean that is a ridiculous offense, and they're still going to be a ridiculous offense next year. Hopefully, with Trey Turner still there.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, I would say both semis matchups were a mirror of each other in a very interesting way.
Yeah,
Um, and let's talk about some of the stars of this matchup. Let's go down your team, the losing team. Your hitting was very divided evenly. Um, you had six different hitters hit exactly two doubles. No one hit more than two doubles. Um, Very interesting. No one hit more than two home runs, yet you managed 15. You had a great week from Carlos Correa, who is maybe your all-around MVP, I would say. Um, he had his two homers, two doubles, four RBI. He had a 438 on base. Matt Chapman drove in 6 runs. George Springer drove in 8. Max Muncy had a good week for you as well. Freddie Freeman with a 458 on base. And then Pete Alonso hit a pair of homers. Not a great week from Trey Turner, I'll say. 280 OBP. Carson Kelly went 0 for 8 in your lineup and then homered immediately after you cut him.
yeah.
Um, Ketel Marte had a good week. I didn't mention him. For your pitchers, Brandon Woodruff made an incredible start with 10 Ks. Garrett Cole struck out 18, but with a bad ERA. Marcus Stroman made a good start. Max Fried made a decent start. Yimi Garcia struck out 3 guys for you in some shutout innings. I'm bummed I didn't get him on my team, although he didn't get any holds. So yeah, that was those were the stars of your team this week. Julio Urias made a good start. Your team played well. Both teams played well this week. All right, moving on to Jake's team. And he had a very similar week to you overall, but a lot of his hitting was kind of restricted to a couple players, a smaller quantity of players. I'll skip the matchup MVP and talk about a few other guys. O'Neal Cruz drove in 7, but he had a 200 on base percentage, had 3 homers. What a weird season he's having. Nick Gordon proved to be a great pickup. And even on Monday, as we speak, he homered. Jake picked him up on Tuesday, and he drove in 5 runs for him, hit 2 homers. But that's really, outside of matchup MVP, who I'm going to save for last, that's really all his hitters did. Corey Seager hit 2 homers, but he only had 1 other hit. Bo Bichette had a good week, I will say that, with 2 steals and a 412 on base. But Matt Olson was awful this week. And JD Martinez was bad. Josh Bell was bad. JT Realmuto had a 217 on base, but with 3 homers. Weird week in that way in general. But God, Matt Olson was bad. Looking at his pitchers, Carlos Carrasco struck out 11 in 6 innings. Sandy Alcantara made 2 quality starts, which means he's only got 1 start this week. Ryan Presley struck out 7 and had 2 saves, allowing no runs in 3 innings. Luis Castillo was great. Good overall pitching week. But matchup MVP, of course, and this is the guy that carried the team all year, especially this week. He scored 10 times. He would have lost runs by 9 if it weren't for this guy. He had 4 doubles, 5 homers, 10 RBI, and a 556 on base percentage. It's Yordan Alvarez winning yet another matchup MVP. That gives him, 6 for the year? Yeah, that's his 6th. Just carried this team. When he was out, you could really tell that this offense took a hit. But now he's back. I am terrified to play him because he single-handedly took over in my first matchup against Jake that I lost. And he single-handedly took over in your semis matchup. He won this matchup for Jake. You can't really say that about many players in many weeks. But Jake, if it weren't for Jordan Alvarez, Jake would have had a mediocre hitting week, and with Jordan Alvarez, he had an excellent one. That's just the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah. It's just how it goes. It's funny because we were talking about this off air, right? Trading away Jordan Alvarez helped me get my first championship. Like, I would not have beaten you in the semis in 2020 without Zach Greinke posting that quality start. He's who I got for Jordan Alvarez in year one. Jordan Alvarez played like 2 games in 2020 because he had the knee issues. He wouldn't have helped at all. But Jordan Alvarez synced me this week. So, when you're making, and we're starting to see this now, especially because, we're getting to year 5, and we're starting to see some of these prospects come up that were traded year 1, year 2, year 3, start to make a difference here. And that's just unfortunately how it goes sometimes. But, if you told me I would get a championship and I'd have to give up Jordan Alvarez, I wouldn't be happy to give up Jordan Alvarez, but, I'd take it. So this is just what happens sometimes. This is the flip side of making these prospect trades when you look at them down the road.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It all evens out, especially with a guy like that. One last thing about this matchup we haven't mentioned, and then we'll move on. Whip was down to a thousandth of a point. You held it for most of the day, and then you lost it kind of late in the game. You thought you might get it back if one of your Mariners relievers pitched. That did not happen. Anything you want to say about that?
Not really. Seawald hadn't pitched like all week, so I was kind of hoping like, maybe they would toss him in there. But it just wasn't meant to be. I just kind of how my matchups against Jake were this year. It was very close down the stretch. I played very well, just never ended up being enough, and that's just how it goes sometimes. So what can you do? But congratulations again to Jake, and yeah, let's talk about your matchup. I'm done talking about mine.
Let's do it. I did it. I'm in the finals. I beat Erik. No team has ever beaten Erik in the playoffs. I did that. It's going to continue. I guess the third streak of the team that eliminates me will win the finals. And I guess if no team eliminates me, then I'll win the finals, obviously. But yeah, 2 years in a row that happened, and it's guaranteed to be true for a third year. A lot happened. I broke the playoff whip record, which I calculated this morning. That 0807 whip was the best playoff whip that's ever whipped. Overall,
best ever playoff whip that's ever whipped. I love that phrase.
Yeah, the best whip that whip has whipped. Overall, both teams in our matchups played worse than both teams in your matchup. That just kind of happens sometimes. Our pitching, I'd say, was better than your pitching. I pitched great this week with we talked about the whip, but I also had a 2.045 ERA. I got 3 saves. I got 6 holds. I lost holds 8-6. We both held a lot. I struck out 81. I was kind of close. I was pretty close to making K's a factor. Thanks to you, Darvish's great start on Sunday. And so it was definitely an interesting week. I, with the knowledge all along that Erik would have 3 starts on Saturday and I would have 3 starts on Sunday. And unless either one of us streamed, which we both did stream a guy, I streamed a guy on Saturday, he streamed a guy on Sunday. I will tell you all about my Saturday stream in just a minute. Don't think I'm brushing over that. I am going to never ever forget the name Dakota Hudson. I'm going to talk about it now. I'm already talking about it. Dakota Hudson. My oh my. I was ready to be like, okay, Erik's going to get his 3 starts today. I'll get my 3 starts tomorrow. But the more I looked at it, and I was kind of talking to you, I was driving down. Well, I wasn't the one driving, but my dad was driving me down to Rhode Island. We were going to visit my grandmother, and I was texting you, and I said something like, if I have to stream, I should probably do it today.
You did.
And then I thought about it. I was like, why don't I stream? I have an insurmountable lead in whip. An ERA is close, but not bad enough that I think I'll blow it, especially, and I can get it back with my good pitching matchup Sunday. Let me look at the streamers. I look at the streamers, the only streamer is Dakota Hudson that's worthwhile. I'm like, oh God, no. And then I started to look a little closer. Dakota Hudson's facing the Reds. Dakota Hudson is the streaming pick of the day on pitcher list, and he's the top of questionable start, borderline probable start. And I'm like, you know what? I can make strikeouts close. I can put quality starts in play, which I almost tied quality starts. I got paddocked by Jordan Montgomery on a terrible call on Sunday. I'm glad that didn't matter. I'm also glad that leaving Anthony Rizzo on my bench didn't matter. But I decide, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to stress the entire time. I'm going to be so terrified. I won't be able to think about anything else. I'm going to start Dakota Hudson. And by golly, it worked. Oh my God, it was beautiful. It was incredible. Not only did he strike out 5, he pitched 8 innings. He got me a quality start. I wish they took him out earlier, but hey, he allowed an unearned run, no earned runs, and he just overall, I don't know what to say. He's a team legend now. He will forever be, and it didn't end up mattering. I will say that, but it could have mattered, and it was great.
He's just Paulo Espina for you, where like you look back like fondly, and you're like, oh hey, yeah, I remember when this guy, you know.
Exactly. He's this year's Paulo Espina.
Yeah.
And so that was great. Let's talk about, there are a few things to talk about. I will say Erik did not hit very well. I hit fine. I was good in some categories, not great in others. Erik did not hit very well. And that brings me to let's talk about how our Sundays went, hitting wise, particularly. Erik on Sunday went 5 for 50 with a 167 on base. He had 1 homer from William Contreras. He had 1 double from Christian Walker. And even that was lasted bat of the day double. He scored 2 runs, drove in 2 runs. This is a very Cam on Sunday performance from Erik. And it came against me. I was lucky for that. I will say Erik had a great Saturday hitting. He had 2 back-to-back 3-run homers within 5 minutes of each other that flipped the matchup. And I thought it was over. 1 from Seth Brown and 1 from Eduardo Escobar. I thought I was cooked at that point. But yeah, that Sunday that he had, and compare that to my Sunday where I had a 485 on base. I had 5 home runs, 2 from Judge, then Vlad, Bohm, and Soto all homered. 13 runs to go with my 11 RBIs. I also hit 5 doubles. My guys came to play. They really did. I'm just really happy with how that went, especially because until the 1 o'clock games were kind of starting to wrap up, it was looking bad for me. It wasn't looking great. And then I had the Bohm home run and Judge's second home run and Soto's home run, and Nimmo drove in a couple, and that all just kind of came together all at once. And that's what did it for me. It was right in that stretch. And I'm in the finals. How crazy is that? I've beat Erik twice in a row in 2 out of 3 weeks of the season. Both scores 7-5. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say.
It's funny too, because the first time you beat him, like, was like, yes, you're happy to beat him, but like, it wasn't necessarily a happy occasion for you because you lost kind of spots in the seating. You went from potentially having a bye like late in the day dropping all the way down to the 4 seed, and I'm pretty sure you were the 3 seed going into that week. Uh, and it's funny how things work because that was the reason you're in the finals. If I hadn't come back, things would have been very different. You would have been playing me this week. You would have lost. I mean, like, it's crazy how these things work, but things have, unlike me, where things just cannot seem to have a flip my way this year. Things are really flipping your way. Your team is playing fantastic, and you
Things
beat it.
flipped your way this year. They just didn't flip your way yesterday.
What are you talking about? They didn't flip my way week 20. They didn't flip my way when Jock Peterson got a 2-run home run, hit that Anthony did to give him a tie against me, which also denied me a bye. I mean, there's just, you can't say you don't have the monopoly on bad luck.
All right. I will
Yeah.
say it's turned around in the playoffs for me. Like we kind of
I
thought
told
it
you
might.
this is gonna happen. I told you, watch you really do like act like play like shit like in the regular season or just have bad luck, and then it's just gonna completely turn around in the playoffs, and you were just gonna go ham. I predicted this. I put the bold prediction in the chat. I said that you were gonna beat Erik and you were gonna be in the final and that you're gonna win.
Well, you also put a bold prediction that I'd lose to Yuki.
Okay, yeah, I hedged my bets there, but okay, you get my point though, right? Like you're this was kind of predictable. And part of the reason it's so predictable is because you have a very good team. Like it was about time that your team pulled off something like this, right? Like you lost in the semis twice in a row, you know, and the first time you lost in heartbreaking fashion, you could have easily been in the finals in the third year. And you know what? It's at some point that luck had to change. So kudos to you. I thought you played fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, I got up and started cleaning my apartment while you were talking. I thought you were gonna go for a lot longer with how excited you were, but um, just I'm happy for you. This is 95 episodes we have done now. I know the work you put in, not only into the league, but also editing this podcast by the M-SABR Dynasty League for the M-SABR Dynasty League. I love sneaking that phrase into episodes. It's one of my favorite phrases to say now. But yeah, you definitely deserve a shot at a championship here. And as frustrating as it'll be for me if you win, I'll at least still have the dominant record head to head against you all time. So I could still ride that. If you win, I could say I was 2-0 against the league champion this year. So maybe
There you go.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the kind words. I'm definitely proud of my team and what it took to get here. It was a lot of work. The season's definitely not over, but just making it to the finals is a big accomplishment in itself. I won't be too broken up if I end up losing to Jake.
Honestly, I think part of the reason the semis is so stressful is that if you lose in the finals, it's like it's frustrating, but your season was going to end either way. And you won one, maybe two matchups if you didn't get the bye, very good competitive matchups to get there. When you lose in the semis, you have to look at the two teams that made it into the finals, and there's still a whole nother week, and you feel like you didn't, you feel like you were missing a game that you should have got at the end of the year. So I think there's definitely a little bit of a different mentality there. I definitely feel that. But either way, you two are going to battle hard next week. Or this week now, I guess. I have no doubts about that.
Absolutely. Let's break down some of the key players. Starting with Erik's team, Elvis Andrus had a remarkable week. Scored 5 runs, stole 4 bases with a 429 OBP. He also hit a home run. Maybe Erik's MVP for the week. Bubba Thompson had an ultimate Erik batter week in that he had a 190 on base, but he stole 3 bases. That's about as Erik player as you can get.
That's a great description of him. Yeah.
Erik picked up Albert Pujols. He did get a home run from him, but on the whole, not a remarkable week or anything. He had a 273 on base, and that was his only run. But he did drive in four. Great week from Jose Ramirez with the 417 OBP, stolen base, couple of homers. Jose Miranda had 3 RBI and a homer. But kind of looking at the other end of the spectrum, he picked up Aquino for 4 games, and he was pretty terrible. Went 2 for 4 in the first game, but then 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 4 again. Not a great pickup. AJ Pollock went 0 for 8 for him. Teoscar Hernandez had a brutal week. Went 2 for 22. Just one double. Eduardo Escobar, outside of his Saturday homer, didn't do much. Wander Franco came back and didn't do a whole lot. Looking at the pitching, starting with the good Hunter Green was dominant. What a job by him. Other than that, good start by George Kirby. Good start by Lance Lynn. Decent start by Pablo Lopez. On the other end of the spectrum, though, Dylan Cease was not at his best. And I guess this is the type of thing that it wouldn't have made too much of a difference, really. But Dylan Cease was not very good. David Peterson got the start on Saturday, one of his 3 Saturday starters, and he just got blown up in the first inning. Looking else, Javier Assad, he streamed. Well, he was from his minor league roster, but he added him. I thought, oh God, this is my death sentence. And Assad was terrible. He gave it 4 runs, was taken out after 2. But notably, he had 3 strikeouts, which means Erik won strikeouts by 4 instead of by 1. Which means that the no call, the terrible ball 4 on Jonathan India from Jordan Montgomery didn't end up losing me a category. Although I guess you can go down and say, yeah, he would have gotten the quality start because he pitched 15 more pitches. He would have stuck through the 6, blah, 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 blah. Either way, it didn't end up mattering. But yeah, that's about it for Erik's team. The bullpen was solid as well. Jose Alvarado was good. Looking at my team, though, just like with Jake, I'm going to skip my matchup MVP. Just like with Jake, it's also a very obvious matchup MVP. I had a good week from Adley. He drove in a couple runs on the last day. He had a 500 on base, pair of doubles. Good week from Yandy Diaz, 370 OBP, 4 runs. Nimmo scored 5 times with a 406 on base. He walked 7. He also stole a base. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who's kind of sticking on my roster. He's been with my team since the 8th of September. He stole 2 bases this week. I'm hoping that could maybe flip the matchup. Juan Soto has actually bounced back this week. He had a great Sunday. He finished the week with a 407 on base percentage. I'm hoping he could do something else next week, and I'm hoping that home run maybe turns it around. He also drove in 6 runs this week. Very glad he did that. And then Vlad Jr. is the last guy I want to mention of my hitters, who is great. He had a 382 OBP, 2 homers, including one on the final day, 5 runs. As for my pitchers, I mentioned Dakota Hudson, of course. Framber Valdez, 2 quality starts, 15 Ks in 15 innings, a 120 ERA, 080 whip. Where would I be without him and Jordan Montgomery, really? Montgomery struck out 15. I know he got kind of blown up by the Reds a bit, unfortunately, on Saturday. That's definitely a shame for my team, or on Sunday, rather. That was definitely hard to watch. Shane McClanahan pitched well in his first start back. Yu Darvish was pitcher of the week in the National League. He went 14 shutout innings with 15 Ks, another pair of quality starts. I got a good week from Kershaw. Out of the pen, Liam Hendricks got a save. Brooks Raley got a hold. Charlie Sheen, Carlos Estevez got a hold on the final day that almost ended up mattering. Um, let's talk about the bad with my team though. Before I give matchup MVP, Jurickson Profar was garbage this week. 136 OBP with only one run. Alec Boehm, outside of his last day homer, didn't really do a whole lot for me. Jonathan India was pretty terrible this week. I'd like a turnaround from him. Hunter Renfroe wasn't particularly good either. He wasn't bad or anything. He just didn't homer, and the OBP is always going to be low. And in my rotation, not a whole lot. I'll say that Griffin Jacks kind of blew a hold in his second game on my team. That was something that kind of felt like the sky was falling for me on Saturday. Kind of added to that. But overall, nothing really negative to say about my pitchers. But yeah, that leads me to matchup MVP. Of course, it's Aaron Judge. How could it not be? He had a 640 on base percentage this week. He had 4 homers, scored 9 times, drove in 6 runs. I didn't steal a base this week. I know he does a lot of weeks. Not this time, however. But just a 640 on base percentage, one of the best OBP weeks I've ever seen. And add that with 4 homers, 9 runs. He's carrying the Yankees, and he's definitely doing a good job of carrying me as well.
Well said. I have nothing to add. For once,
I know. I just talked. I pulled a U. I talked for a long time.
no, I got up and like started cleaning my apartment and doing stuff. Is this what you usually do when I talk?
I walk around. I go downstairs and fill my water. I yeah. I certainly find
What
ways
did
to
you
keep myself busy.
What did you do when I talked for 20 minutes about Kevin Biggio?
I listened. I mean, I didn't listen, but I I was there. I don't remember what exactly I did.
Oh, my goodness. That's nuts. Jesus Christ. But yeah, no. I think well said on your part. I
Well
just want
said. You weren't listening.
yeah, but I was listening. My freezer is falling apart. I was telling you that off air, and I don't know if you heard any of that, but I was
Yeah.
trying to figure out what the issue is. But there are now sounds coming out of it, and I'm a little worried. I hope it's just ice melting or something, but God, who knows? Uh, if my computer wants to load our spreadsheet here, I will give our picks from last week. We both, I don't know why it's being so slow right now. Here we go. We both picked the wrong finals matchup. Let's see if I could scroll down here. I picked you to tie, which means Erik would have advanced. That did not happen. You ended up winning. What was the final for you? 7-4-1?
7-5.
7-5. You picked yourself to win 6-5-1, so close. I picked Jake to win 9-2-1. I guess I wasn't totally far off with a 7-4-1. You picked me to win 7-5. I appreciate your optimism, but your optimism in this case did not pan out. We each went 1-1 on the week. So what we said last week, actually, but before I get there, that means our records on the season, I am 72, 32, and math 20, and you are 71, 28, and 26. Last week, what we said we would do is count each category as part of the tally. So this
Keep it
week,
interesting.
keep it interesting. Give either one of us a chance to win. It can be Jake finals. You know what we didn't do this week. We didn't do our matchup to watch.
We did not. What do you think the matchup to watch is? I know I have one in mind, but I want to see if yours is the same.
Mine is actually not the same. I don't know why you would assume that you and I have the same matchup that we want to pick. I am very interested to see what happens in this Crone Zone Flex and Bellies matchup.
That's the exact one I was gonna say. So I told you we're on the same page.
I guess we are on the same page. Jake's got not Jake, Daniel and Matt. Have some good players here. They have Alex Cobb still there. Do you know Luis Gonzalez now has outfield and reliever eligibility for them? Like a lot of batters suddenly have relief eligibility, and I wonder how that's happened. Like Cody Clemens is reliever eligible now. Hanser Alberto is. Um, could you imagine just like starting them in your relief pitcher spot one day just for the meme and they actually pitch?
Oh God, could you imagine?
That would be a defining moment for sure. Like that would
I
be a pretty high
I would
seeded
love to see that.
Yes. I honestly I have a couple of empty roster spots. I should just pick up Hanser Alberto and Cody Clemens this week and see if they actually pitch.
Do it.
Oh fuck. All right. Well, I may not be in the finals, but at least something good can come of this week. Anyways, we all know the real matchup we're talking about is you and Jake. I know you are ahead of me in the standings, but I'm going to give you the option since you're in the finals. Do you want to pick first, or should I pick first?
Well, why don't we talk about let's talk about pitching matchups
Yeah,
before
let's do
we
that
make our
first.
predictions.
That's really what's going to help determine this. All right, so um, you have Kershaw going right now. Kershaw's pitched 2 scoreless innings at the time of pitching. Shane McClanahan against Houston tomorrow. Zach Wheeler against Toronto. Now that one's interesting because Wheeler is going to be back. That's huge for you, but Wheeler has not had a rehab stint. He threw 2 simulated innings on Friday, and it looks like he's going to be on a pitch count. Like it doesn't look like he's going to pitch long enough for a quality start. But you're going to have to take him off your IL. So you potentially you're obviously not cutting Wheeler or anything, but you potentially could just be playing with a dead spot the second half of this week if you don't end up starting him on Wednesday. But that's obviously a decision you can make. I'm not going to make you reveal the details of those. You don't have anybody going on Thursday, but here's what scares me for you. Yu Darvish pitches Friday at Coors. Jordan Montgomery pitches Saturday at the Dodgers. Goes against Kershaw that day, pitching against the Cardinals. That's not the easiest of matchups. Framber goes against the Baltimore. Baltimore's offense has been okay recently, but Baltimore's fading down the stretch. But you also have Shamanaya pitching on Saturday and Coors as well. And then Sunday, McClanahan versus Toronto. So that's 2 hard matchups for McClanahan, Houston and Toronto. And, McClanahan's been fantastic this year. But none of these pitching matchups you have are really a walk in the park or anything. Unlike last week where I thought you had some very good pitching matchups, that's not the case this week. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. Things lined up really well for me last week. Things line up less well for me this week. It's just kind of a yin and yang of it. And I may end up, I don't know. I feel like this has happened with me against Jake every time I've played him, is that I end up kind of benching my starters the second half of the week anyway in hopes of holding on to ERA and whip. Maybe that's something I do. Maybe it's not. Maybe I stream Dakota Hudson again. Only time will tell.
Absolutely. Let's look at Jake's pitching though. He has today. He had Edward Cabrera. Edward Cabrera went 5 innings, 3 earned, 4 Ks, 3 walks. So nothing special. No quality start is the important part for you. He's got an interesting trio of starts tomorrow. So he has Carlos Rodon, but Rodon is also in Coors. He's got Luis Castillo at Oakland and Carrasco at Milwaukee. Carrasco and Castillo were both fantastic their last time out. And Rodon, on top of pitching in Coors, did leave his game last week with a blister after 5 innings. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. Wednesday, he has Blake Snell against St. Louis. That's a very tough pitching matchup. St. Louis is one of the better hitting teams. He doesn't have anybody starting Thursday, doesn't have anybody starting Friday. On Saturday, Sandy Alcantara starts against Washington. His second consecutive start against Washington. He pitched against Washington on Sunday through a complete game, 1 earned, 7 Ks. 1 walk in that game. And on Sunday, he has Castillo at Kansas City, Rodon at Arizona, and Edward Cabrera playing Washington. It seems like a better series of matchups for him. I don't like that Rodon has to go and pitch in Coors, but the rest of the matchups don't strike the level of fear in me necessarily that some of your pitchers' matchups do. So that's kind of tricky.
You want to know what scares me? You want to
What?
know what I'm thinking? Jake has 3 great pitching matchups on Sunday. Jake is going to feast on Sunday, and that is going to suck. And I'm going to hate it, and it's going to be torture. And it's going to be like when you had your 4 quality starts on Sunday of our 2020 semis. I just know already, and maybe one of them will get bumped. Who knows? But it's going to be like that is what I'm imagining.
That is true. I mean, a lot of things can happen. Players can get bumped. Rodon could get a blister on Tuesday again, could leave the game early, and then they push him back to Monday next week. I mean, we just don't know. But yes, that does not look the greatest for you. I will say offensively, looking for a second, you are going to get Harrison Bader back. And you got Anthony Rizzo back. He didn't play at all last week.
He played Sunday, but not in my lineup.
Yeah, he played. So functionally, you didn't get him last week, but that's also 2 big offensive additions that you get back. So with that context, it may or may not change who I pick. Anything else you'd like to say about the pitching before, or the hitting? I guess we are the pitcher or the hitter after all. I guess you only get to pick one to talk about, though, because we are the pitcher or the hitter. Anything else you'd like to say about the pitching or the hitting?
Well, I guess I did just talk about the pitching, so I'll talk about the hitting.
Good choice.
This matchup is we can fool ourselves and say this matchup is about a whole bunch of different things. But this matchup is a matchup between 2 people. It's a matchup between Aaron Judge and Yordan Alvarez. They've been toe-to-toe all season. Aaron Judge has 8 matchup MVPs. Yordan Alvarez has 6 matchup MVPs. They're both coming in hot. Aaron Judge is on his way to 60 homers, perhaps. Yordan Alvarez is just knocking the cover off the ball. These 2 players have carried both of our teams. And one of us is going to have a season like this with a batter playing like that at their absolute peak and not end up with a championship out of it. So that'll be annoying. Either I will have Judge's absolute peak and not win a finals, or Jake will have Yordan's absolute peak and not win a finals. I guess it's certainly possible that Yordan hits another level, but this kind of is the other level, you know? I don't know. But
I think Judge will never have as good of a season as this again. I don't think the season Yordan is having is one that isn't repeatable by him. But I would bet a lot of money that this is by far the best season that Aaron Judge ever has, and that he will never match this again. And if he does match this again, then that is fucking bonkers. But
yeah, it's been bonkers. Yeah. But yeah, this is a matchup of Alvarez versus Judge, and we'll see who comes out on top.
Yep. Without further ado, who wants to make the pick first, you or me?
I guess I am winning, so I will pick first.
Okay.
Um, I think I am going to win runs. I
Okay.
think Jake will win doubles. I think I will win homers and RBIs. Uh, I think we're gonna tie steals. I think I will win OBP. I think Jake will win Ks and quality starts and saves. I think I will win holds. I think I will win ERA and WHIP.
That
So
adds
what does
up
that
to
make the score?
one, two,
That's
three,
seven
four.
four one.
That is 7-4-1.
All right.
All right. I will say runs. Let's start with pitching. I feel more confident about picking the pitching. I think Jake will win K's and quality starts and saves. I think you'll win holds. I think you and Jake are gonna. All right, let me. I think stolen bases.
Just bouncing around here.
I know. Because this is. I felt really good about picking like four of these categories. I mean, this is basically picking a crapshoot. I think Judge is having too good of a year for you to not win a home runs and ribbies. He's just fucking insane. I Jake's been strangely good with runs, and I think he'll win runs. I think he'll take doubles as well. You have the better OBP team. I'm gonna give you the I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt with the Harrison Bader difference here. Because you held on to him that long. You better win steals. Prove me wrong. Um uh I think you will win neither of ERA and WHIP.
Mm,
And I'm picking Jake to win 7-5.
interesting. How about that?
Yeah. My gut said to pick as soon as I saw the pitching matchups, I just I'm scared you're gonna start someone that's gonna have a blow up because of the pitching matchup. Whether say you start Jordan Montgomery against the Dodgers, or maybe you start you Darvish in cores and just maybe McClanahan struggles against Houston. It's just like I don't know. I just like I don't see an obvious blow up for Jake. I guess Rodon could blow up in Colorado, but I think there's more blow up potential for your team to just spike a high ERA day than on his team at the moment with the pitching matchups.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
So that's why I have to give him ERA and WHIP. I do think he has the better saves team, and I do think he's going to out quality start now. KU just sheer numbers wise. Plus, like Wheeler starts for you, but he doesn't really start. You know, like he's not going to pitch a quality start. He's not going to go deep enough to get a ton of Ks. I'm feeling more confident in your offense this week than your pitching, and I think that reflects in the fact I'm picking you to win homers, ribbies, steals, and OBP. And honestly, maybe I could pick you to win one of runs or doubles, but like even at that point, I'm still picking a Jake win because it'd be 6-6. Yeah, I'm gonna stand by this pick. 7-5. And you have you winning 7-4-1. You've picked yourself twice in the playoffs and you've been correct. So um
Yeah, we'll see how that holds up. I'm nervous. It's the finals. I've never made it this far. I've felt um I don't know. Each of the last 2 years, I felt at various points during the semis like I could make it this far. This is the year it finally happened. Let's see if I can bring home that wine ambassador trophy. Get some wine.
Get some wine. You better pour some wine in there and drink out of it.
That's of course. Did you do that?
No, no, I did not, unfortunately.
I'm pretty sure Erik did. And he'll correct us if we're wrong
Eric,
about
Eric,
that. But I'm
I know
pretty sure
for
I remember
sure did
him.
this thing where like he had like a ball or something, and he used to like throw it into the trophy. I know, I know he did that. Which is
Okay.
pretty cool. I wish I had thought of that, but yeah, we will see where
All
the trophy
right.
goes. The trophy is on the move for sure. We just don't know where it is going to go. Eric, if you're listening to this, I hope you enjoy your last few days with the trophy before somebody else takes over.
There's going to be a first time champion this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be either me or Jake. And next time we talk to you all, we will know the answer to that. It's going to be great. But until next time, this is the pitcher or the hitter.
The
Wish
podcast
me
by
luck.
M-SABR Dynasty League 40 M-SABR Dynasty League.
Yeah. God, this is intense, huh? Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's funny. You're giving me the classic like young Cincinnati Reds fan who's never really seen a Reds team win a playoff series vibes right now, where you're like, holy shit, I got here. Now what? Except when the Reds got there, game one, they got perfect games by Roy Halladay. So hopefully that doesn't happen to you. Or perfect games or no hitter.
Just a regular no hitter.
Okay, well, a no hitter's still great. So I hope you don't get no hit this week, which I'm sure you already have a hit at the time of recording. But
I do have a hit. Could you imagine if my entire team didn't get a single hit in it all week?
I mean, like Erik almost did that on Sunday. So,
Yeah, but for 7 days.
yeah. Okay, well, maybe not no hit, but I'd like to think the no hit equivalent would be to not win a single category.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. You can tie a category or two. That's the equivalent of walking in a no hitter. So, that would be really funny. Like if I would predict for you to lose 10-02 and then you actually lose 10-02, that'd be really funny.
Yeah. All right. That's enough of that. We've got we got to see what happens here. Until next time.
Yeah, from the pitcher or the hitter.
This podcast is good.